Okay, so let me pull up the questions and see. Okay, so let me also get the audio ready. So this is just gonna be us discussing about like what we thought about like our perspective about like relationships in middle school and
Mhm.
like how that affects us today and like what we thought like for an example like if I thought like a boy I liked was doing the bare minimum, I would think like, oh, that's so cute, but not realizing my worth and not realizing like, you don't have to really settle for the bare minimum. You can always go for more. So it's more so growing up and understanding what like standards are within like a relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, what are some things you wish you knew about relationships like in middle school? Like, what do you wish you were like taught about?
I don't know, that's a really good question. I kind of wish I was taught that not everybody is going to like you per se. Like some people just like hate you just because you're you, and there's not a lot you can do about that. You kind of just have to like go about your day and just find like friends that really like treasure you. So yeah.
That's true, that's true, yeah. Also speaking with like rejection on like kind of a was it like because that I think I don't know if most of us knew how to handle rejection, not only from friends, but also from guys as well. So it's like, because I don't know how did you handle rejection?
Um, I don't know. I only really dealt with like friendships breaking up. I wouldn't really say I dealt with rejection because I didn't really do a lot of like romantic dating things in middle school. So
Yeah. For me, I think like it was always, you gotta chase somebody, you gotta chase somebody, you gotta chase somebody, even though you don't have to chase that one particular person that you like, even if it's like romantically or platonically. So it's like, that like chasing, 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 and it's like when it's not really needed. And like I guess that's how it was for me, like in middle school, like when it came to rejection, like I wouldn't feel upset or anything like towards that person. Like I wouldn't get angry or ballistic and be like, oh, why did you reject me? Like, you don't like me, that or this and that. It was more so that that rejection was affecting myself and being like, oh, okay, they're rejecting me because maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe this part of my body is wrong, or maybe, my eyes are wrong, my hair is wrong, and this and that. So that rejection will more so like affect my self-esteem and like I'll put that rejection out on me, not on that person, that anger, not on that person. So
yeah,
yeah.
I definitely say I felt like in terms of self-esteem, I definitely like whenever I saw like girls in relationships or whenever I saw like guys talking about girls being pretty, it was always like, oh, like they have like straight hair. Sometimes they
Mhm.
had and sometimes they like dressed a certain way or like they had like these like trendy jeans and like shirts and stuff. And like I didn't fit into that, so I definitely like played into my self-esteem was saying like, oh well, like if you don't like act
Yes.
a certain way, then you just won't get in a relationship because you're not pretty. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Because here's the thing. I know that like when it comes to relationships, and also I wish we were taught about this too, like about like I get it, everybody has like a type or preference, but
Mhm.
at the same time, it's like it's hard when that like when you're like who you are isn't, I guess, seen as a preference or a type, or it's just like brought down while that other like type is being uplifted and spoken and praised for. So it's like, okay, if that type of like, if he likes that type of like person, then it's like, I should be that type of person. And like with the whole trend and everything, trendy clothes and whatnot, man, that used to be me back then too. Just like I'm trying to see like, like what type of, but like the type of clothes I was trying to look for is like what type of clothes will accentuate like my body, like what will
Yeah,
make me show out more, like to them, to the boys. And I was like, that was not really needed, but us at eighth grade, like I really wish for me deep down, like overall, I really wish that we were taught like, how to just handle rejection, learn more about our self-esteem, especially in like in classes, because I feel like and like in health classes too would have been a really good like subject. I mean, I think they did, but it's just like maybe it wasn't enough for us like for that to land before we like to be stuck in our conscious and like be like, transition into high school because, I only started recognizing all that stuff until like high school, of course, like not really in middle school.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's also, I wish I thought, like, going off of what you said, I wish we were taught that it was okay to, like, be a kid. Because I feel like a lot of, like, the expectations or, like, looking a certain way, I feel like we all wanted to, like, appear grown or be grown or, get the, like, clothes that like accentuated our body so it looks more grown. I feel like I just wish
Mm-hmm.
it was okay to be like children. And it's like, I feel like whenever I was interacting with someone, it's like, oh, like that's kind of like kiddie, like I like grown things or like whatnot. I just wish that was more taught. I feel like it's kind of like a generally new thing. So I feel like becoming grown or like being grown or like pretending to be grown is like more caused to like social media. And I feel like social media is such a new thing that like the health curriculums haven't really adapted to fit like the need for that. So
Yes, no, you're most definitely right. And like when it comes to social media, that definitely reminded me, bro, back in middle school, I remember seeing these pages where it's just like, what is it? These pages where you had to submit a photo through like message and it was like those like the prettiest girls of da 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 or like the prettiest boys of da da da. And I was like, damn, like I tried to submit myself in that in seventh grade and I didn't really get on. But it's just like it kind of made me looking back at it, kind of made me realize like, damn, like were we like these pages really determining like who was the prettiest like out of our grade? Like that was so crazy.
yeah, I remember that page specifically because I didn't put myself on there because I didn't want to do that, but I put one of my friends on there and I thought they were like really pretty and like they didn't fit into like the traditional like middle school like grown. They had like their own like little style and I really liked it, but like they never like got on that page and I found like those pages had like very specific looks. So definitely
And
that.
we right, and we all know who's probably running those pages, but
Yeah. And it's definitely, I think another thing about that is like popularity. Like, I feel like if you have like a lot of friends or if you have like, I don't know how to say this, but like, there's definitely like, I wouldn't say there's like cliques, but I definitely think there's kids who are like more popular and more well known and kids who are not. And I feel like the kids in like the popular social circles definitely like get more like into those pages, like the most pretty, like when they have like the people who run those pages are friends with the people who they post. So they only tend to post like people in their social group, which it's not that like the other people who we submitted aren't pretty. I just feel like it's like they're just not like they don't really know them. I don't know.
well, you're most definitely right. Yeah, it's like because I remember I think one of my friends did get into the page, and I think she was also popular as well. So, and that just reminded me how it was like, that movie, what is it called, Duff?
Duff, I haven't heard of it.
No, where it's like this girl, like she's really like, what is it? She has popular friends, but is not popular herself. So it's like, all her friends kind of get these like privileges or like benefits, and she really doesn't. And it's like it kind of reminds me how like, what is it like? How I would hang around like with the popular kids most of the time, especially like during sixth grade. That's what I did because like I really knew them. They were like my friends and my friends till this day. But it
Mhm.
just reminded me like how like, it was like sometimes pretty hard to like kind of be around them, especially if they knew other popular people. So have you seen those like what is it, TikToks where it's like when your like friend or popular friend is speaking to another popular person, you're just waiting on the side like,
Yeah, it's like that thing where it's like, oh, like when like they're your best friend, but like you're not their best friend, and that sort of thing.
yeah, so it's like that's what like kind of was most of the time. And I thought also like when it came to relationships that if you just had like more attraction to yourself around the school, then like that's a way for you to get into a relationship. But I feel like that's not really true because regardless, I see sometimes even like to some people how it would see like I'm not saying they're not popular, but I guess to some they won't be seen as popular. Even
Hmm.
them are getting into relationships as well. So it's like your status, I guess, does not really matter when it comes to relationship. And that's another good thing to also like realize, because just a lot of stuff like being internalized with status and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely like that changed in high school because I feel like high school is more like diverse. There's a lot more kids. So I feel like in high school it doesn't really matter like who's popular and who's not. At least in my school. I don't know how other schools be. But yeah.
Period. Next question. How did the perspective of love change for you from middle school until now?
Um Perception of what I don't really know to be honest. Um yeah. I feel like in middle school, I was like, oh, like if I get in a relationship, I'll get in a relationship there. If not, like there's always high school. I don't know. I never really felt like pressured to like be like sure there were like certain times where I was like, oh, I like my boyfriend or something like that. Or like I'd have like crushes, but it was more like just seeing other people being in relationships and wanting to be like experience what other people were experiencing. Like not like
Yeah.
I get the fear of missing out, like not wanting to be like alone in these experiences. So like up to now, I'd say like I don't really get that many like crushes like that because I'm like kind of over the idea of like, oh, like I'm in a relationship because like they are in a relationship and they seem happy and we're like, oh, I if it comes, it comes. If not, like I'm kind of happy where I am right now. So I don't really feel the need. And I definitely because of like I don't feel the need to like be in that, I kind of don't find myself like having crushes. But I mean, if they happen, they happen. They just don't happen as frequently as they did in middle school, I think.
No, you're most definitely right, especially with the whole like pressure part. You're definitely like on point about that. I think also in middle school I felt a pressure to be in a relationship. I'm not sure why, but there was a pressure to be in one. I'm not sure because with our friend group, I don't know who was in a relationship at the time. I'm not sure if any of us were, but like for me, it was just to like have that experience like quickly in middle school. I'm not sure why when it's like you said, like again, there's high school. And then also in high school, I waited and it was more so like, I feel like there's like a change. In middle school, I was rushing, but nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, no relationship, no relationship. I have to realize that again, like you don't have to get into a relationship right now. You're still a kid.
Yeah,
Then in high school, I just kind of waited around and was like, I had a couple of crushes, but I just kind of waited around. I was like, okay, now in high school, maybe I'd have the chance to finally experience it. And if I don't, then I don't. And that was like when going into like ninth grade, freshman year. And so, but now it's like more so I am comfortable where I am too. And it's like I have crushes and I also have built up the courage over the years to act on them, but also be patient and slow at the same time. Because it's like I've learned from my mistakes with crushes when it's just like rushing to it too fast. It's like, no, like, don't you want to know the person a little bit? Like, don't you want to, you don't have to click, like hit it off right away. So that's what I like learned and also, but again, I'm more so comfortable where I am right now and I'm really happy about that. And again, like I wish we were also taught about this in middle school, self-love.
Mhm.
And self-love is the best kind of love, just putting yourself first. And throughout middle school, I didn't put myself first most of the time. So to put myself first now is like really good. And so again, like I'm not gonna like, because again I have this realization, like I have a better mindset where it's like I'm not gonna like die without love or this and that.
Yeah.
Like, do I really need love right now? Like, no, like I'm fine. Like, because again, at the end of the day, I recognize that I have me and only me. And, at the end of the day, I'm my biggest cheerleader. I'm my number one fan. So that's how just me, myself, and that's how we're just gonna roll. So yeah, so it's like again, like, don't always need love. If I get into a relationship, I get into a relationship. If I don't, I don't, because I have other things to also focus on. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's how it changed for me up until now. But you're most definitely right with the whole pressuring thing. I did not need to be in a relationship.
Yeah, I think something else I wish going back to the question that they taught about relationships was that it's like a commitment. Like it's not just, oh, you're just like parading around with this like person and like, you look cute or whatever, but like you actually have to like I feel like this goes to like friendships too. Like you have to understand that like, people are busy, they have other obligations, family obligations, career obligations, stuff like that. And it's important to like balance that. And it's also important to be like emotionally mature and just realize that like, certain, I guess like kind of relating to boundaries, like, what do you consider like cheating or like, what's like right or wrong to be jealous over, kind of like creating a balance where it's like you care for this person and it's not like unhealthy like obsession, like jealousy, and like making sure like you're maintaining like a healthy relationship where like you're setting boundaries, like you're managing like each other's like schedules and like conflicts and whatever and responsibilities. And you're also just like caring for the person and like you treasure them more than just like a friend. So yeah, I wish they taught about that it's a commitment for sure.
That's so true. Right. I wish they taught us that. And it's like I'm looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, a relationship is a lot of work. And it's like it's so important for before I feel like getting into a relationship, you have to at least work on yourself, or like work on like any toxic habits you have or like any toxic qualities you have, or it's just like that relationship is not going to mesh well. So it's like for me, for an example, I like somebody, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to go ahead and like act on it right away, because what I did first was like, okay, first I'm going to work on myself and see like, what I can do before I get into a relationship, because again, like you said, it's a commitment. And like again, like, and also communication at that too, like that's like the biggest thing, communication. So what I've been doing is just also talking to my person and like getting to know more about them, so like I have this information about them before, like, if that whole dating process happens. But or friend process too, like, again, keeping it either platonic or romantic. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's like it's so important to work on yourself first, because I have friends who get into relationships fast, and then it would just not work out at the end, because it's either them or that person, even both, where they're just like not stable. So yeah, that's so true. Got to
Yeah,
work on yourself. All
definitely.
right.
Love that for you.
Thank you. So, let's see. What were your interactions with boys like in middle school?
um I'd say strictly platonic for the most part. If I had a crush, I never really acted on it. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have that
Um,
much stuff.
for me, um, let me see. Like you said, yeah, platonic. Again, like I have some guy friends still from middle school that I don't even think about dating, because I don't really see it like as that
Yeah,
way of them.
I feel
But
like better.
yeah, but but with if I had a crush, I would like what would I do? what would middle school Tatiana do? Um, I feel like middle school Tatiana would just like, I don't know, work on herself, but more so for that person and not for her. Like,
Mhm.
like change their appearance, change her appearance for them, for that person, for him, and not for her. And I think that's really important. Another thing we should have like learned about in middle school is doing things for you again, putting yourself first, doing things for you and not for that other person. And I feel like that's what I did most of the time in middle school, where it's just like doing things for this one boy. But at the end of the day, it's like, do I really have his attention? Is he really interested in me? And if he's not, then it's like, why did you do all that? Like, was it even worth it? Like, So it's like really important for us to like also look into our self-worth at the same time as we're like growing up. So I feel like middle school really like they really missed out the chance on like teaching us about like our self-worth and everything. Cause it's like if I didn't do things for this particular person and if I did things for just me, I feel like I would have like a more healthier mindset. But it's like it's good that we're growing up now and we're realizing these things, but it's always good to recognize the signs first.
For sure. I 100% agree.
Mm, Like, yeah, no, it just made me realize, yeah, we see. Now, looking back at your interactions with boys in middle school, would you change knowing what you know now and why?
That's a good question. I don't I don't really know what I changed. I don't think I did anything necessarily wrong. I think I changed, like, my perceptions of love, I guess, because like, that's, like, a really big thing. But in terms of just, like, boys, no, I think I interacted with mostly everyone the same. Maybe with my crushes, I was a little like, "Oh, hee hee ha ha ho ho," but I don't think I changed anything in terms of just, like, interactions.
Yeah. I feel like what I would change is like again with the whole like do things for you part. That's what I would change because I feel like first of all, like again, like with self-love. So I feel like that's one thing I would change, just like again, dressing for me or doing things for me, not because of this other person, like, oh, this person has good grades. Let me get good grades because they have good grades. So we can like relate over having good grades. Like, no. So it's like, yeah, just doing things for me. Like I wish that, but with like boys with their interactions, with my interactions with them. What I will also change is just like try not to fall in love too quickly, you know? Because again, I think that's what happened. I had multiple situations throughout middle school where it was just like falling in love too quickly. And it was just like I needed to learn how to bounce back from heartbreak if like, if things don't work out. So, to also recognize like again, like not everything is gonna work out your way. So and like also recognize that love comes, in time. Like with love, you have to earn it. Like, you can't just take it. So that's one thing like, to recognize. So yeah, like but yeah, I mean, that's the only things I would change otherwise, just like keeping it platonic or really romantic with people, with guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I think kinda going off what you said, something that said, like, kind of, like, clicked in my mind. I was like, "Ooh, I think something I would unlearn is definitely the falling in love too quickly," but I think that's just because in my mind, I had, like, this certain idea of, like, how life was supposed to be. Because you learn from your parents, like, "Oh, you have to get good grades, so then you can get to a good college, and you graduate, and then you get a good job, and then you're gonna, like, find a husband, and then you're gonna get married, then you're gonna have kids, and you have grandkids," I think that's kind of, like, coming from, like, immigrant families and kinda, like, the American dream and kind of, like, how, like, "Oh, came here from nothing and like I made this family and you can make a family and how like family is the most important thing." So I feel like that expectation kind of made me think like, oh, whenever I'd like have a crush, I'd be like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get married. It's like, looking back, I'm like,
Oh
whoa, that's a
God.
crazy statement. But like, whenever I had crushes, I'd always like think into the future because I feel like my family, my immigrant family, like ingrained in me, like, oh, always think of the future, always think like, what's your next step? So of course, logically, except with marriage, family, I don't think I got to kids. Kids was like, that's like sex education. That's a completely different
Yeah,
thing. Like marriage, I was definitely like, ooh, can I like live with this person? Like, yeah.
it's
I
so
think I
true.
learned that like, ooh, just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you're gonna like get to a marriage or like just because you have a crush doesn't mean like it's gonna be like a long-term thing. Like you can like experiment. You don't have to like fit into this like very like nuclear family to like have a good life, you know? Yeah.
No, you're most definitely right. I know I was gonna bring that up too, like about marriage. It's like again, at a young age, we're like ingrained. It's like it's so ingrained in our heads, like to be like you gotta find a boy out there, this and that. And it's like, right, like with every crush, it's like, how am I gonna go into marriage with this person if I don't really know them just based off like what I'm attracted by of them? So it's like, yeah, but no, you're most definitely right with the marriage part because again, it's just there's so much pressure with us like girls to like again do things so quickly, and it's like wow, when it comes to our male counterparts, that they can just lay back easily and like I guess find a woman, like a woman will come to them, like they don't have to find one on their own, you know? So that just made me realize that's so crazy.
For sure.
I think we have all the questions done. This meeting is about to end in 8 minutes. Let me stop the recording.